Hello, we're back. NL West this time, is it?
Yeah, starting with the worst National League division after completing the American League.
Yeah, I do build up as we get closer to the season to the more interesting bits. But yeah, so it's not that bad though, is it? The National League West.
Um, it's pretty bad, but I don't think it's as bad as most people would say.
Yeah,
What about
naturally being NL West fans, really.
that? I think it's the worst of
But
the National League divisions by quite a long way, but I don't think it's like a
yeah, I
foregone
think the
conclusion.
other two though are really really good. So maybe just go listen to those podcasts instead if they're out now.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. If you somehow stumbled upon this, listen to one of the better divisions. This isn't going to be good. Listen to something else.
there's probably going to end up being quite a lot of um, stuff about the Giants. About the Giants, like sixth reliever or something. Who's going to be
Yeah,
their sixth reliever? Um,
the content
but
everyone wants.
to try and avoid that, we decided we're going to do the Giants last, are we?
So we run out of time.
So we run out of time before we get to the really bad.
Yeah, so you don't all
Because
have to listen to Rule 5 draft picks.
rather than doing the favourites, um, yeah, at the end, like we have in the other ones, we're going to do the Giants. And I don't think anyone could really argue they're the favourites, to be honest.
No.
Um, so yeah, yeah, we'll start how we usually do though, with the team you think is going to come last.
Which is tricky because it's probably the Giants. So
Is it?
I think
I don't think
it's
the Giants are
close.
coming last.
Should we go Diamondbacks?
Yeah,
Let's
it's
go with the
Diamondbacks,
Diamondbacks.
isn't it? Surely,
I don't know, they've still got decent pitching.
but not as good as it was, and their
No.
lineup's not as good as it was. And what they were like, just over 500 last year, were they?
Yeah, they weren't especially good.
And they're worse,
Yeah, but I don't
quite a
think
lot
they're
worse.
nailed on to be. I think they could still finish third,
Yeah,
but that might be
maybe.
because San Diego and the Giants are absolutely terrible.
Yeah, but so what have the Diamondbacks really got to be interested in this year?
Nothing. I'd
Okay.
like David Peralta's moderately interesting if he
But he's
stays
not though, is
healthy.
he? He's just sort of quite good. He just seems like a very boring player to me.
He's interesting in that they could trade him in July, I think.
It's interesting in the way that they
He
could just, yeah,
he could play for someone else, and then that would be more interesting. Um, Robbie
yeah,
Ray is interesting.
yeah. They've got a couple of upside pitches, haven't they?
Yeah, so I
But
think it's like
it's sort of interesting, though, isn't it? What they did this off season, like we've said in a couple of the others, a bit similar to the Indians, apart from obviously they weren't as good as the Indians and the Mariners, where they were actually in a strong position and decided to pull the trigger on the rebuild early, basically.
yeah, they basically have gone for it kind of too soon, but as a result, they might not really have a rebuild.
Yeah,
Like
not a really bad one. Like I think they're going to be quite bad this year, to be honest.
probably, but even in their rotation, like you've got Walker, Zach Godley, and Luke Weaver,
Yeah,
and then obviously Robbie Ray behind Zach Greinke. Like
but
that
I mean
should be.
losing Corbin, Goldschmidt, and Pollock.
Oh yeah, it's horrible. Like
That's like yeah, there's
they've got Merrill Kelly
possibly
as well.
the three worst players they could lose, maybe apart from Granky. What?
Merrill Kelly's moderately interesting.
Merrill Kelly, who's that?
He's another guy who's come over from Korea, like Miles Mikolas.
Oh, what they've signed him this year?
Yeah, just another star. So their rotation has actually got the makings of something that's above league average.
Yeah,
Their lineup without Goldschmidt is not particularly pretty though.
I don't
That's the
know.
thing.
Have they added anything to their lineup?
Adam Jones.
Oh
They've
yeah, I
kept
actually forgot about that.
they've kept Eduardo Escobar, and they've picked up. They got Carson Kelly in
Oh
the
yeah,
trade.
yeah.
So he's
So he's
he's like
the
not that
potential
boring.
interesting guy, but he's not that interesting, is he? He's not the sort of superstar potential prospect, is he? And as a catcher, it's like
He could be an everyday catcher, but everyday catcher doesn't mean anything really. It's like,
it's not that exciting.
yeah, I mean, Sandy Leon and Christian Vasquez were everyday catchers for the World Series winners last year. That doesn't, it just sort of doesn't mean anything. Um, but basically, the
Yeah,
lineup is like Peralta's the one who you're like is going to will almost certainly be better than league average. Around that is like a lot of okay
I mean,
hitters.
like Marte had a good year last year, didn't he?
I'm
What is
not
it?
that sure.
Well, I'm on free war. It was all defensive war.
The interesting thing with him, and this is why the
He was all
uh,
right. He was basically almost exactly a league average hitter.
they're moving him out. They may well be moving him out to centre a fair bit, although that's going to
Really?
be less now because of Adam Jones. Yeah, so because they lost Pollock, they were going to do what Seattle did with D. Gordon and put him in centre, but he's going to play a bit of centre, a bit of second, and a bit of short.
Because it was, what was it? Was it a couple of years ago? Or maybe 3 years ago now? That Marte had like a bit of a breakout.
Yeah,
He sort of regressed. Sort of, I don't know. I mean, they're going to hope Jake Lamb bounces back actually because he was bad last year. But they're not going to be terrible, are they? It's one of those teams not going to be terrible. But I also don't find any of their players that interesting.
so I think that's fair. Because I thought they were going to be pretty rubbish, and then I did my preview on them this week and thought actually they're not going to be quite as bad as I thought. They could be a 500 team, I think, but that's basically their ceiling.
Yeah.
They don't even have, like you said about them not being interesting, they don't have like glaring breakout candidates or anything.
No. It's happy birthday to Nick Ahmed as well, by the way.
Fantastic. I'm sure he's listening.
Yeah. Yeah. There's not a huge amount to get excited about with them. The bullpen's not
No,
fun either, is it really?
no, it's not like some of
Archie
the others.
Bradley again is another one who would like year before last was really really good. He was like one of the best relievers, wasn't he? He was one of those well, like a bit like Josh Hader was last year, like Andrew Miller's been. He was sort of in that
Yeah,
sort of mold
yeah.
where he was a starter that was meant to have a high ceiling and didn't really work out, and then went to the bullpen and suddenly you're amazing. Like can do multi innings and strike out everybody.
Well, because you basically start throwing like 3 or 4 miles an hour faster, focus on the pitches you're actually good at, and you're just crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Like he was okay last year, but not. I mean, 71 innings is quite a lot for a relief pitcher, but it wasn't anywhere near as dominant.
So do you think they will be last?
I do. A lot of
By
them might say that's just Giants optimism, but I don't see the. I suppose there's little potential bright spots there, but I don't see their like ceiling being that high. I don't. Even if there's like a low chance of a team being really good, it's like at least there's sort of excitement when there's like
when they
you feel
start
like, oh,
well.
what if this all goes perfectly?
Yeah.
Like if everything all goes perfectly, the Diamondbacks finish third, I think.
I would
So
say possibly they have like yeah, I think they might have the least upside outside of Miami in the National League.
yeah,
Like I think that like their ceiling really seems like 81, 82 wins.
um, yeah. Do you know if they've got any decent prospects actually?
I don't think really. No.
I mean, if they did, maybe they wouldn't have pulled the trigger so quickly. Yes, but I got
Uh,
the feeling they had like one or two that weren't terrible.
I don't. I'm not. I'm just scanning down their pipeline. There's brilliant.
Not anyone.
Not really. No. I think didn't
No,
their
I've not
farm's
heard
been
of
ruined
anyone.
because they made some win now deals, didn't they? Where they gave up players.
Oh yeah.
Um,
It, is that Jake McCarthy? Is that a guy I've heard of?
Yeah, I've heard of him. I was just looking at his thing.
Apparently he's not good though. Apparently he's actually not that good. Don't know why
No,
I've heard of him though. But
I
yeah,
yeah.
okay. That would be why they pulled the trigger. They made some win now moves, didn't they, for the last couple of years, and were meant to be. I mean, they were meant to be good, like for the last few years, weren't they? Really, and
They basically had
were
their
sort
window
of good
and just weren't
in
good enough.
yeah, they were quite good in 2017, weren't they? They were pretty good in 2017.
A lot of
Um,
it was down to pitching, though, wasn't it? So that
yeah,
rotation has barely actually pitched together. Pollock was injured a lot. Um, it's just it didn't
yeah,
work out. Should we skedaddle on to the Padres because
yeah.
I
Done the thing where he spent 10 minutes talking about
the worst team in the
the
division.
boring one.
Yeah, so
So the Padres.
they signed Manny Machado.
Yeah,
Well,
a lot of people
hey,
probably got quite hyped about them now, aren't they? Now they've got Mercado with all the prospects as well. Um, but I don't think you. I'd expect them necessarily to finish above the Rockies. I'd say there's a chance they do. But it's the thing
yeah.
with the prospects when you're relying on prospects, even if they're really highly rated ones. Um, you just never know, do you?
Well, yeah. So I again going back to my preview I wrote on them was like they're probably going to be good, and there's a slim chance that they're like really, really good.
Yeah,
That like several of the young pitchers come up, pitch really well, um, and that like
that
Tatis when he comes
infield
up,
starts going straight
yeah,
away.
that like Manny has a 6 WAR year, and Tatis is the player that people
I
think he'll
mean, well,
be.
there's Urias as well.
Yeah, but then there's also I think a fairly good chance that one of Tatis or Urias ends up going back to like AAA and like they come up and
Yeah.
struggle and have to go back. Um, and they've obviously got loads of options in the outfield. Eric Hosmer, the great uncertainty, is he's due one of
Well,
his good years.
he's due a good one, isn't he?
Yeah, but again, like that's not really a thing. He
It's,
might just be
yeah,
rubbish.
maybe not, but he's got quite a track record now, isn't he? How long's his career been? It's like 7 years,
Yeah,
and
of he
it's
just
literally gone that pattern where
yeah,
he's basically a zero WAR player every other year, and then the years in between he's like somewhere between average
just
and good.
all-star. Yeah, but I think they've got. We're talking about the Diamondbacks having like the lowest ceiling that's not Miami,
Yeah,
perhaps. I think the like if the Padres ceiling is obviously incredibly high because when you've
they've
got a farm like that and they're
they've
close.
got yeah they've got one of the biggest uncertainties, I think, haven't they? The biggest possible
Well, yeah,
range.
I think they could be absolutely terrible. It's possible that they hold some prospects back or some of them get injured and they end up filling their rotation in with guys who aren't great or whatever. And like Ian Kinsler plays a lot rather than is a stopgap and a versatile guy.
Yeah,
Um, and they lose like 95 games. But I also don't think it's impossible they win like 92.
yeah, easily. Maybe not easily,
It's,
but
it's
they
just
could.
the percentage chance of them doing that.
I
While
think that obviously though they're looking for 2020 really. This is like the final transition year, like the end of the rebuild this year. I think. I mean, like the
yeah,
Garrett Richards signing is like. I think that kind of tells you quite a lot about
what they're thinking.
what the team or the front office at least is like actually thinking about
Yeah, and
what they're
that's what
aiming
they've
for.
always been going for, isn't it? It's always been 2020.
Yeah,
Because if they really cared about this year, they might have traded for like a starter or maybe even two.
yeah. I mean,
But
like
this
out
is
of the
the
NL
right.
West, I think they're in the best position for the 2020 season. If you were to say right now,
They're in the best position for the next 5 years. I mean, like
yeah.
it
Apart
obviously
from
could go very wrong
this
this
year,
year.
yeah,
Yeah,
and then that might all change if like a lot of the prospects like get injured or turns out they're not very good or something. But
but if I had to pick a National League West team right now to make the most
yeah,
playoff appearances in the next 5 years, I'd pick them,
yeah.
even ahead of the Dodgers at the moment. I think.
They've got because as well as the guys they've got a lot of guys that have been up for a while and potential like this kind of thing if they could break out